never paid for gas until my dad was gone, and then that's when reality hit. Like big like that, just it had that type of
layout.
Yeah, I guess finish, the finish work on the decor of the building. But he goes, okay, there's a job I need you to go finish some sheet metal work, because I did this on custom homes. I did the sheet metal work on custom homes, and we had sheet metal companies that if I needed something made, I would go have them make it and tell them what I wanted, but they did like all the track homes for us and stuff, but for anything custom that was like any $2 million house, or we did smaller ones too, but if it was a privately owned home, even the ones that weren't privately owned yet, but they were custom homes, because there was only like 5 of them that they're doing, at one time, and then, but I did all those. We already had a crew that did the roof, put a tile roof on it, and the patio that in the backyard, usually that was always hot mop, which now hot mop is banned. You can't even use that in California, but that still needed to be done. And so what it was is we did the tile roof, and then the guys leave a big section, it's undone around the chimneys, because I still had to come in and install the sheet metal to, so it's all watertight and everything. And so I did that, and then they had left some tile trash up there, which I should have taken it down and put it in my truck, as well as my trash. What I did after I was finished, because we still had to come back after the holidays to install the deck, the patio deck, the roof on that, and then tie it into the tile, right? I took it wasn't much, but I thought, okay, well, I'm just gonna stack it up nice and neat. I'm gonna put it behind the chimney so it's secure. My dad, which he was right, and I was wrong. I should have taken it down and got it, and then I could have reprimanded the crew for like, hey, well, how come you guys didn't, take the trash off the roof? What if it falls off? What if it blows off? What if, anything could happen, and because we don't know if the homeowners are going to have a Christmas party and relatives and friends, and somebody gets hurt, and then we're liable. And, that's what he always thought about. And he goes, you'll be done like probably by 11, maybe sooner or whatever. But and that house was happened to be right across the street from Jean-Claude Van Damme's house, which we did his too. But that's totally irrelevant. It was in Chatsworth, but now, so he goes, you just show up, you either go home, take a shower, and come back with your girlfriend, and, be at the party or whatever. And I'm like, all right. So I was already there. I was up at the office, and I was filling up, there was a big table full of food, like sub sandwiches that you could make, different things. And I'm filling up my plate, I was hungry. And then my dad comes walking down the aisle from the parking lot through the 2 buildings, and he's got his buddy there, and then our other buddy from the Ford dealership that was with him. And he just instantly is like, what the hell, he's yelling at me, calling me a stupid fucking kid. Nobody thinks I'm worthless, and this and that, and just like, what the fuck, you leaving all, you know what I mean? And I just fucking, I'd had it. I had never blew up. I started standing up to myself a little bit, through the last couple of years before that. But I had it. I just lost it because it was right there in front of everybody. I threw my plate down, and I just told him, look, you know what? F you, you know what I mean? I don't need your fucking, shit no more. And I'm out of here, And he's like, you walk away from me, and that's it. You're gonna fuck F you, you know what I mean? I'm out of here. Besides that, I go, this is my business, not yours. Because that was me, because I knew my mom had the license on that business. And she's the one that took care of the books. My dad didn't have an active license. That was his license, was active when he had the partner. So I kind of, then my mom, she was in the office and she was on the phone, and I guess she had hung up the phone, and then my dad was in the doorway right there of our office, and she threw her sub sandwich, which bounced off the wall and hit him in the head, and I was just like, oh no, because all through my childhood they fought, and when they fought bad. He scared me for my mom. Like it looked like I don't know how bad, but I never seen him like fully hit her, but she would always, it sounded like, something bad was happening, but it was basically, my dad broke shit is what it was. He would break shit or take the car and hit something, you know what I mean? And so he's always, every time they fought, it was bad like that. And he was always spending a lot of money fixing the shit that he broke. But he always fixed it. He wasn't the one that just left it like that. It wasn't like that. And mom always cleaned the house, but then later, through when I was in high school and junior high, one of the Latino or the Hispanic guys that worked for us, his wife was a cleaning lady, so then she was really good. She did laundry too and everything. My mom loved her. She cleaned really well. And yeah, it's just how the house was always like that. It was never a mess, and it made me to where growing up, I basically have like OCD. Everything has to be, a certain way. But it got, when I was younger and I was still in my parents' house, because I moved out when I was 19. But now, when I was living still at mom and dad's house, there was a time where it was so bad, I didn't even sleep in my room because I didn't want to mess up my bed, or I didn't want to mess up, after I got done vacuuming, I didn't want to put footprints in the carpet. And it was so bad, it was like I would look for dust it was bad. My friends were like, the heck is wrong with you? You know what I mean? But they're like, you're going to have a nervous breakdown, but I guess I kind of grew up out of that a little bit, but I don't know. Yeah, at 19, before my dad, so the office party, there was a Christmas party 2 days before Christmas. It was 1994. Prior to that, in the beginning of 1994, that was when the Northridge earthquake in LA County, the big one, okay. And the 6.9, 7.1 or whatever. That was a huge one. I didn't live at my parents' house at that time. At that time, I had already moved from my first place that I was at I moved back to my parents for like 3 weeks, and then I got my own condo in Canyon Country, which was right by Magic Mountain. Okay, so actually closer to Vasquez Rocks, where they filmed the Flintstones, the movie. So I lived closer to there than Magic Mountain, but basically in that area, which is north of San Fernando Valley, but it's still LA County. Back to what I was saying. That was when the earthquake happened. I was living there. Now, my mom that day, she came to me back to the office party the 2 days before Christmas, because I left. I was like leaving, and then my mom came and stopped me, and she wanted to talk to me. But my dad did. I didn't leave all the way. I did go back because my dad wanted to talk. My dad's buddy was like, "Look, you need to at least go talk to your dad." And I said, "Fine, if he's gonna, talk to me normal." And he was trying to say sorry. My dad never said sorry to me, like he never did. And he barely said "I love you." He only ever said "I love you" maybe 3 times in my whole life. And it was like I was always jumping through hurdles for him. Always. I never said no to him. I would do anything for it. Like whatever he asked, I'd just get up and do it. Or drop whatever I was doing. I could have been at some party, or I was out having a good time, or whatever. And there was times when, because after from 19 on, I moved out of my parents' house. Well, when I first moved out, I was at least an hour and 10, 15 minutes away. And there was times he called me in the middle of the night, needed me to come to the house to fix the cable underneath the house, for the cable TV.
Yeah.
And I did. I showed up, but I had been drinking, and so I was a little tipsy or whatever, and he was pissed because I had a pager. Back when pagers were. Kind of miss those things because you don't have to call anybody right away. But anyhow, so he paged me, and then I'd call him, and he'd say, yeah, come to the house, and I did, and then he was mad, and it didn't matter. Either I was gonna, if I told him that I was drinking and I can't drive it right then, I would have had to deal with getting yelled at over the phone, and then the next morning too, probably when I got for, work the next day or whatever. But I was, it just didn't matter. I was damned if I did or damned if I didn't. So it's just how I did it. But anything that I accomplished, it wasn't like, okay, it never got like praised for it, really. Now, instead of saying sorry, he would find out something that I wanted or that I was trying to save up for and get or whatever, and then it would just appear and be like, oh, here you go. And during those times working, while I was in school too, and then even working for my dad, but it started right around like the age 14 maybe, I think, 14, when my mom started giving me credit cards in my dad's name that he didn't even know he had, because everything was paid through the company, you know what I mean? And so I never had to pay for food. I took my friends out all the time. I'd go to the mall, buy all kinds of clothes, whatever, sunglasses, whatever I wanted. Even stuff for my truck, when I had my truck or my Mustang, racecraft suspension, no problem. Have it, you know what I mean? And gas. I had gas cars. I had Texaco. I had Chevron. I had 76. You know what I mean? It was just never paid for gas until my dad was gone, and then that's when reality hit. Like I have to pay for. I have to pay for food. I gotta. Whoa, that's different. But I knew that. I mean, I wasn't. I don't know. It was different. It was like kind of hard to handle, but not wasn't hard to handle. I mean, I took it just like I thought pretty well, but it was different. When you're not used to that, and you're like, whoa, okay, this
especially
is
it's like what.
Like now,
over half your life.
Right. I was like, I gotta take out of my pocket for that. No, that's not right. But that's life. Let's see. My dad did tell me because now my mom came to me that day before I talked to my dad, and she was like, or I think I had already talked to him, and I was getting ready to leave. That's what it was. Because I had told him, I said, look, I'll take any time. If I'm wrong, no problem. Come bitch me out. Chew my ass out or whatever. I'll take it. I got that coming. But don't do it in front of everybody. Take me aside, because that shit, you just make me want to, parts of me think that I should have probably swung on my dad that day and put hands on him. Just because of, I don't know, maybe it would have been different, the next couple of days that had than what transpired, because my mom came to me and she says, look, I'm going to go stay with a friend for a couple of days. And I'm like, why? And she goes, well, can I? She's asking me. And at the time I'm like, yeah, okay. Now, there's another part of the story that I haven't told you. It was about 4 months before this, right? Before that Christmas, I was already dabbling into speed, crank, meth. I had found it in my dad's stash, and I wasn't really happy that he did it, but okay, when I never seen him do it, Then once I did it and tried it myself, then I was able to tell when he did it. I could tell, But I never didn't really. I went to work, didn't have problems with it, As far as that, had always had a good time. It was different than the coke, and that was how that was. But what I was about to say was 4 months before that Christmas, I had a girlfriend that lived with me, right, and in Canyon Country. Well, I guess you'd say that we were up all night, tweaking or whatever you want to call it, and I guess that's what they call it. So I was bored, and remember the 900 numbers for like the dating sites and all that, or talking to
chat lines,
but they also had psychics.
Yeah.
So I called one of them on Dad's credit card, and the lady was like, she said, "Well, ask questions." She was telling me, if you ask questions, I can tell you more. And so that's what I did, but pretty quick through the whole, after she did the initial reading, and I'd let her know a couple questions that I wanted her to. Well, she goes, okay, and she's making sure that she's connected with me or whatever, and then I guess, and she goes, "I'm sorry, sir, I gotta hang up, I gotta go." And I go, "What do you?" And she goes, "It's something negative." And I go, whoa. I don't care positive or negative. If you're gonna tell me negative now, but you're gonna just not tell me. She says, "It's company policy. I can't tell you." So I proceeded to tell her, "I know this is recorded." I go, "I'm paying this money. I've already paid a bunch of money for this call, and it's like $8 a minute or whatever. You're gonna tell me. I don't care. I want to know, what is it?" She goes, "It's your dad, your father." And I'm like, now everybody loved my dad. My dad was always the life of the party, and he helped everybody. He was that guy. That's another thing about him. He wasn't he wasn't hated by anybody. I just had a love-hate relationship with him, and because there was days where I didn't know. From school and work, when I lived with him, I didn't know if he was going to come home just completely angry or if he was going to be happy. I just didn't know. But so she says, "Your dad," and I go, "Well, what do you mean? What do you mean, my dad?" And she goes, "Well, he passed." I go, "Passed?" I go, "You mean dies?" She's all, "Yeah." I go, "Okay, when?" She goes, "Christmas." And I go, "Okay, how?" She goes, "With the gun." I go, "What do you mean with the gun?" She goes, he kills himself. And that's when I just started cracking up, and I'm like, lady, I go, "You're a quack, you're fake, you're basically bullshit, you're nobody, you're not real, and if you knew my dad, you know why I was saying this," whatever, click. Well, I always had that whole conversation in the back of my head. I never believed it, but I did believe in that stuff. And I knew it was real, but I just didn't know if that was real, So, and everything that she had told me, it seemed like it was authentic. It wasn't, there was things that was going on that around what she said that was authentic. It was real. Yeah. It's just, when my mom said she was leaving for a couple of days, and she asked me, I said, "Yeah, well, how am I going to tell you no, Mom? I trust you, and I go, "You say you promise we'll all be together Christmas morning, then okay." And it seemed normal then for me to let her do that, because that's how the arguments as a child, that I remember, it was always a few days, and then she'd either go to my Nana's or my Aunt Carol's or my Aunt Sherry's or something like that. And then my dad would go chase her, and get her back or whatever. And that's just how that always ended up. So I was just looking at it like that.
Did you think anything of it when she came and asked you?
Yes, I did. I had to, and I started to tell her about my thing with the psychic and all that. And she's like, "Come on, your dad's not going to kill himself." And that's when I was like, "Oh, okay." But I think that we should be concerned and at least be, because this is all when that was told, to me. So I want to, because then
be there at least.
My dad was, I guess, calling me, came to my house. He came to my house the day of Christmas, like at 5:30 in the morning. And that was the second time he had ever cried to me. And he didn't know where my mom was. He thought I knew. I go, "I don't know where she's at," and in fact, he was telling me, "Hey, I love you. I'm sorry I never told you, and sorry I never said sorry. Sorry that I paid you less than all the other guys," because he always told me, "Oh, I don't want to show favoritism." I'm like, what the fuck? If it was my son, yeah, he's my son, right? This is my company. Yeah, I'm gonna pay him accordingly. That's how I would have did it. Like, who cares what they think? As long as they still are the good workers that they are, and they stay with me, then I'm gonna take care of them too. But look, it's my son. Sorry, he's gonna be in front of you probably before whatever. But anyhow, he didn't do that. And it always felt like, why are you treating me less than them? It was like, that's where it was always like I was always struggling to be like some, big for him, and never got it. But so he comes to the house, he's crying to me, and he's telling me, that's when he does tell me that he knew where my mom was and who she was with. He didn't really know where she was. He showed me a phone number, and he goes, "This is who your mom's with." And I seen the phone number, and I went, whoa, because for the last 2 months, my mom had been paging me to that number every so often, at the end of the day, after work, before we went home and had dinner or whatever. And so then that's when that was confirmed. I was like, oh, okay. So then he told me he knew whose number it was, which was a guy, it's her husband now. It's a guy that he had a courier business 2 doors down from our company, in the complex. And it was just two guys, his buddy was like the secretary or whatever, but it was his business, and that's what he had, was a courier service. And he did pretty well, but anyhow, that he was younger than my mom, like by 5 years, 6 years, something like that. And that's who she's married to now. Completely different from my dad, but yeah. So, and I had promised my dad that, because I let him out of the house. He wanted to sleep there. He wanted a blanket and a pillow, and I was still mad at him. So I was giving him some bullshit reason that I didn't have any extra pillows or blankets, when he knew that was bullshit, because he knew that I had everything, and I thought I was giving him the advice that he would have given me, which was, just go home, relax, take a shower or bath or whatever, and wait for the phone to ring, me call, or me to show up. Mom said she promised we'd all be together Christmas morning, and whenever we never have not been, and so I was just going with that. Thought I was, being the bigger man for him, trying to, take that role on as somebody that was strong, and gave the good advice. But that's when he did leave, But he was telling me before he left that, you know, he knew about my mom always giving me extra money and that, you know, credit cards or whatever. He knew all that. He let her do that, he said, because he figured that was, you know, she needed to do that.
For herself.
For herself, you know, to be able to give me something. And I was like, well, that's